Hello and welcome. I'm Bill Wake. We're working on a role-playing game about design patterns, and we're turning it into a game written in Elm. All right. So what we're doing at this point, we've got something that can kind of navigate between all the rooms, and we started doing something. We did kind of an experiment to figure out how to do a select, like from a drop-down list. One of the goals of the game is that you identify patterns. So there's a drop down where you get to choose which pattern you think it might be. And what we're doing is we're going from our kind of more spike type thing to putting support for the state containing a guest in every room or most every room. We've got a structure that will do that, and we've got to kind of bubble it around through the use of everything else, driving it from test this time rather than just kind of pushing it through like we did for the spike. All right. And another change I made is I did get IntelliJ going with an Elm plugin. I noticed a little bit of kind of anomalies. it it was complaining about things like string that sort of come in by default. So I don't know. That's we'll take it for what it can be. All right. So let's see. This one we're going to start up Elm Reactor. Okay. So we have we'll make a window here. Localhost. All right. And if we go to main.elm. Okay. So each room has the main picture. It's got a description, and then it gives you a chance to guess the pattern. And right now, I don't think anything's happening. Yeah. So our spike, we had it update the guests. And then we also have doors to get to the neighboring rooms. We got to this room. We can go back to that room. And now this button updates to show that we know what's in that room. Okay. Let's see. So where's our starting point? Well, let me get the tests running here too. Well, they were, let's see. Let's do this. I think we can get that running here. These should pass. At least that's how I left it yesterday. Takes a moment. Okay, while that's going, let's look at state. All right, so in our state, we added this notion of the guesses, and these are the guesses you've already made, and it's from the room name to the guess you made. All right. So whatever room you were in, we want to update that. All right. And now we want to make sure what gets understood. And I think we've got the current guest basically takes the current room and fetches this, uses that as the argument to get the current room's name. And if it doesn't know, it just comes up with this guess here. I don't know. All right, a little, well, fooling around with strings has its own cost, I guess. You know, we haven't really abstracted this type very much. And so there's no notion of a default built in, so we provide one here. And, you know, it's this transition from the domain to something that's more kind of structured to match, I guess. Or it's the transition from the state where if the room's missing, we haven't made a guess yet, you know, it forces this. I don't know, we could change that around somewhat. Let me also get up some get the tests up here. All right, so we know the current room, which room it's visited, and then in the end we added some of these other things. Do you use unknown guess when the room has none? And it knows the guess when it has it. Okay, so if you have guessed pattern, all right. Now, let's see. I don't know where the right place for things is. Okay, so here you can see our model doesn't update the guess. All right, so that might be a good place to start. Okay, this. We're putting the guesses in for the 3-room, or I guess these are the available guesses. All right. And maybe that probably should come out of here. All right, but we'll get there. All right. So let's chase down the flow. So we have a message for when they make a guess. And let me just format this a little. Okay. So you can either go to a different room or we can make a guess. And when you look at our options, they say when an input happens, you want to pass the message guess pattern in. Okay, so the view can, it basically can produce the HTML and the message. And let's see. So guess pattern is here, and then we got to find update. What does update do when it gets a pattern? Well, it should record the fact that we guessed this name. And right now it doesn't. And the other thing is we have that TBD somewhere. Let's find that. Oh yeah, we're not fetching the guess from the model. Okay. And I have not resolved myself, like, how do I want to deal with the view stuff? How thoroughly do we want to test that? And I'm thinking we might want to do a little bit of a test there. But I don't know. I see this as kind of like growing and growing, and I'm not sure what that indicates for us. Okay. All right, I'm going to kill this comment because it basically is the same. I'm going to kill this comment because it doesn't add anything. All right, let's make it so well, whatever the guess is for the current room, which could be the unknown case, we should display it based on the model. All right, and let's drive that in with a test. All right, let's find main test. I'm not quite sure how we want to do that. Okay, well, that's interesting that we commented that one out. But let's just move on. Okay, so I would like to check that a room, how about the view shows the current guess? And actually, I think that's a behavior we might want to change at some point, but for now, we'll just go with it. Okay, so the view here, yeah, I think this will work. Let's work off this state, something like this. Okay, and if you recall the way this one works, it takes a model and produces some HTML stuff. Okay, I think. Well, I'm not quite sure the relationship here. I think if we start asserting, we'll learn something. Okay. I guess what I want to do is somehow I want to ask, does it contain like this string? That'd be a start. Okay. So if here's a state, room 1, we visited room 1, and we have a dictionary from a list. We start off empty. Okay, so let's say default guess. Okay, so if I were to call, Let's see, that's my model. Okay, so I'm going to pass that in to my view, and I'm going to get back something. All right, so let's say view of this whole thing. Okay, and now we're going to do some expecting on it. Expect dot contains, expect dot within? I don't know. Let's find some documentation. Well, I think it's going to be, let's Elm test expect. I'm beginning to think I need a cheat sheet for just about everything I do here. Elm explorations. Well, maybe this will point to it. Elm community Elm test move to Elm explorations test. Okay. Yeah, so this is this impossible state's unrepresentable. This case of a room has no guess yet. It bugs me a little. All right, I'm looking for expect, and I don't know if there's a contains or equals. I don't. That's more than I want. I want. Well, I can probably do some sort of. Let me find out what I can do with contains. String contains. Okay. Let's see. I guess core. I don't know if we want a string. Well, let's see what string's got. Contains string. Excuse me. So contains string and a body, gives a boolean. Okay, that seems helpful. Let's find HTML. Whoops. Too far. Elm HTML. I'm hoping I can turn this thing into a string. Here we go. Oh no, that's the other way. That's text node. And maybe it's only working in the DOM. A lot of stuff here. Elements. More tags. Well, none of that sounds promising. What do I have up top? Node message. Well, I don't know. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're not going to do this test. Maybe this is a manual thing. I mean, my normal mode for stuff that's display is I try it. I just generally test it manually. Once it works, it works. It doesn't tend to break. I'm not sure. Yeah, we're back to normal. Let's go ahead and do that on the view. Let's get last guess a model. And that's extra print. Well, we'll save and see what it says. They can give a better message than your argument to this function. Oh, I probably need to parenthesize this. Your first argument to this function is not what I expect. The model is a model, but the function needs a record with a last guess. Where's our model? So does state have the right function in here? Oh, maybe its current guess would be a better guess. Okay, good. All right, and let's go ahead and run. We'll reload this. I don't know. Okay, that's progress. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've got a gap in my understanding of how to test, and I don't have a good way to test HTML at this point. I was willing to do a string search for your guess : and then the current guess, but all right, let's look at the update now. All right, so the update says I'm in a, I don't know, the arguments are often a little backwards in Elm to my way of thinking, which is probably not a good thing, but the reason is because you get currying automatically, so you can call with the subset of the arguments and you get a new function that just takes the remaining arguments. So it kind of works out that flipping them around is better. But what I think is I got this message when I was in this model. And then how do I respond to this message? And we kind of know the answer because we worked it through before. If I've guessed a model, a pattern, I should store that pattern name. And in our case, we can't just throw it in last guess because that doesn't exist anymore. We now have that dictionary in state. All right. So if here we have guesses. Now we know guesses should contain it. Okay. So let's make a test for update. And this one I think is more the kind of thing I think should happen. I mean, the update function is more testable and more critical in some ways. Okay, okay. So update guess. I don't know what word I used there. Guess pattern. Yeah. Let's follow the okay, so updates the current room. All right, and then this boilerplate. Okay, so if we call update with the message guest pattern, and let's just say observer, and we were in room 1 with an empty room and an empty guest list. All right. One more parend, I guess. Nope. Type mismatch. Okay, I'm not done. I guess that's all. Hopefully. And we pipe this to expected equal. Well, I don't think most of it's going to change. You're not moving rooms. You haven't visited anything new. 1. And we should have a new dictionary. And I think this takes the pairs. Room 1 goes to observer. That closed the pair, close that, close dictionary, one more. Okay. Wow. I don't know, this indenting is a little bit I'm going to move these in a notch. Okay. And we can do some work on this too. But all right, I think what I'm saying is what I want to happen. If you guess the pattern observer and you're in room 1 and you haven't made any guesses yet, well then we expect that your new state is going to have guess room 1 in it. All right, so we'll save. Oh no. Oh, well, that's okay. We haven't done anything yet. Maybe. Okay, yeah. We expected room 1 observer. I don't know how, I guess it alphabetizes, whatever. We expected room 1 observer. We didn't get it. Okay, so that's actually a good sign. All right, and so let's go to our update function. All right, now with this, well, this sort of thing is the right pattern. We're saying take the original model, but we're going to update guesses. And what is guesses going to be equal to? Well, it needs to be model.guesses. Okay, but we got to do something to it. Okay, and what I want to do is add that to the dictionary. So let's just go back until we find our dictionary again. I'll eventually get a little better at this. Okay, insert a comparable and a value. So key and a value into a dictionary. Key value in dictionary gives you a dictionary. Replaces value when there's a collision. That's kind of what we want. Okay, I don't think there's anything else that sounds right. And we're getting a new dictionary out of it. I think that's what we want. All right, so insert key value dictionary. All right, so model.guesses, that's the dictionary. And we want to do an insert. The key is the room, model.current room. The value is the pattern name. And the dictionary is the guesses we already have. Now, why are you complaining? Let's expose insert here. Okay, he's not sure which insert. All right, so we'll use dictionary insert. Oh. Okay. Just like that. All right. And now I've got a test that I think should work, but I'm going to go ahead and add it anyway. Update guess pattern, updates guess. How about this is when current room has no guess, and this is when the current room already has a guess. Okay, so in this case, the from list, let's say room 1, we already guessed prototype. Okay, so we've already guessed prototype. If somebody says my guess is observer, I want to make sure I update to observer, even though I already had something. And I think this will pass the way we already have our code. So this is, I'm expecting a pass. It's a little unusual. I guess I've called it elaborative tests, so you've already got the code you think is right, but you're just not quite convinced, or you just want to make sure the future reader understands, or, whatever reason you have, try and make it pass. All right. And then, I'm getting a yellow bar here. What is this? All right, I've got to distinguish the two. I'm clearly using it. Well, is it clear? If I just say import dictionary. Okay. And then I think I'll do the same with set. Since I have to say I'm importing it to use it, but if I'm always explicitly saying set.fromList, dict.fromList, then I know I'm okay. All right. So let's commit. I guess I'll open one more window here. All right. This should be okay. Get status. Okay. I don't know if the IML, I think that's supposed to go in. It's a IntelliJ thing. Get add dot. I really didn't change state. I guess I didn't. Okay. Support a pattern guess per room. Okay. Now I think we're at the point Well, I think it should work. I guess that's the the basics of it. We tested it and it works the way we expect it to work. Now let's run a manual test and make sure it all hooks up the way it's all supposed to work in our mind. Okay, so we'll reload this. Okay, so if I select one, I should get it. Okay, if I go to a different room, it should not have a guess. Now that's interesting. Ugh. Okay, I think there's a different sort of tiny story in there. When I go into a room, the dialog should be selecting the one I've already selected, which could be I don't know. All right. Let's see. How do I want to do all this? Let's get our to-do running here. Now, is that... I'm having a little trouble seeing my kind of monitor screen. What's going on? Let me just take a second here. Okay, update the model when a guess is made. All right, that seems to be... We have done that, I would say. Show the current guess if it exists. I think what I want to say is pattern guess, drop down. I don't know. I like to use user terms, but I think I want to be specific that it's the drop down. Okay, I think that's where I want to go next, but we have some cleanup we can do in here, I think, and I think I think I can make this test more clear. All right, so I'm going to say one visited room equals maybe room one visited model. I don't know if I need the word model. Let's just try it without. All right, so what I'm saying is this whole thing is kind of being used in several places, and I think we can just define it. And it's a model. Okay, so we're creating a room one. We got the set from list room one and no guesses. Okay, so now my equals, well, I think I'm going to go to that other syntax model with, what is it called? Room? Current room? Let's look at state. Current room. Okay. So this is current room equals room 2. Current room equals room 2. And visited equals the set. And we don't need to say anything about dictionary. Set from list. Okay, those match. Okay. So when you go to room 2, we expect the current room to change, and we expect the visited list to change. Okay. And this is room 1 visited. You're in room 1, you go to room 2, here's what you expect. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to start with room 1 visited. All right, and now this is my model with guesses equal that. And if I can do this again, room 1 visited. With the guesses updated. So parend, bracket, parend, bracket, parend, one too many. Now the brace. Okay. So if you are in room 1 and you guess observer, then your guesses updates to contain observer. And then same thing here. Room 1 visited. And I guess it's the same expectation, isn't it? Okay. Save that. Back to local 2. All right. Just be sure it's changing. Okay. Yeah. So we're working in Elm. Okay. So let's see. This is the main level one follows this. They have the Elm Architecture is kind of a React style thing where they split out. You start with an initial model like shown here we keep track of which room we're in, which rooms we've visited, and what guesses we've made. And then there's an update pattern that says, give me a message and the model, and I'll tell you the new model. And that's how you handle state changes. And then there's a view that says, give me the model, I'll tell you what to display. And it uses these kind of HTML-like tags. I don't know that, well, I think it's editing the DOM directly, but it feels like HTML. And we've just been adding the capability to make these guesses. So the idea is you're in a room and it represents a design pattern. You make your guess as to which pattern it is, and we keep track of it. Eventually we'll tell you, like, oh, that's not right, or that is right, or whatever. But we're in somewhat early days, and we've just been doing some refactoring, making a separate constant that represents the state. So the whole state of the application has to be in this state object. And if you go to a room, then the current room changes and the rooms you visited changes. And if you make a guess, then the stored guesses change. And I just want to check and see, do I need these parentheses? I haven't done a lot of Elm programming. It's like I've been dabbling for a bit and reading and this and that, but actual programming is pretty limited. So if you know stuff about it and have suggestions, I'm definitely open to it. And I'm kind of learning when do I need parentheses and things like that. Okay. So our to-do is kind of where we're driving from, just kind of the bits of stories. The thing we're seeing now is I've done some refactoring. Let me see if there's any more refactoring. This, okay. I think that's just information we've said. First module. Okay, I'm puzzled why we took this out. Let's see if this works. Dungeon from list. Well, it probably... Yeah, it's trying to say when you're in a room, we can tell you what image to use, and I think that should be true. So we just had to kind of get things modernized here. All right. So if you were in room 1 visited and you ask for the image, is that code we have at this point? Is it on state? Known room current guess. Maybe we're not using that anymore. Somewhere we get the image though. Dungeon.image. Okay, here's dungeon. Oh, okay. Yeah, dungeon is... Well, you have the whole dungeon. Let's go run it once. So, the graphics and all that, we're still early days. Just kind of get the pieces out there, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna go back to my initial room. All right. So this room, the information in the top half, the picture and the dungeon name, that's not state per se. It's more of a description of the dungeon itself. So, I guess what we're trying to say is the dungeon, if you ask the dungeon for the image, it should know it. I think we've probably already done that test on dungeon. Let's see. Unknown room has default, knows exits, knows image. Okay, so I think this test was just left over from early days. All right. Okay, I think that's improved. Let's take a look at our main. I'm a little worried. Let's see, apparently this is not needed. My big worry is this HTML is just going to grow. And that's maybe not the best thing. All right. No, I'm pedantic on these things. It drives me kind of bananas that curly quotes aren't being used. Modifier letter. Well, I don't think I want an Armenian apostrophe. This is... No. Let's try that. Nope. I don't know how that's going to look. All right, let's try. Back here. Whoops. Back here. Reload. Okay. It's the problem when you're worrying about everything. Okay. Let's see. So the problem is, let's say if we make a guess here, prototype. All right, we update this. That's fine. But when we go to the next room, it thinks this should still be left at prototype. And I think it should be set to I don't know. I don't know how to set these things, so there's some learning there. But select on input, do guess pattern. There must be something that lets us set the initial value. I mean, if nothing else, it should default to the first one. But actually, the current one would be better. This current guess of model. All right, so let's look for documentation. I guess we want to go up to HTML. It's probably an attribute, but let's start with select. List takes an attribute. Okay, so let's find the attributes. Whoops, sorry. Selected. Is that doing something? It takes a Boolean. That may be what I have to do. Okay, I'm going to look up real HTML. HTML select. Yeah, I saw selected down there. Options. Oh, multiple options can be selected at once. That's definitely not what we want. All right, let's do another search. Select selected. Right, we got to put it on the item. Okay, and that's the option here. And that's an attribute on the tag. All right. Normally we take a break by about now. We're a couple minutes late. So let's take a 2 or 3 minute break. We'll come back and we'll start. Well, actually, this list of options should come from the list of possible patterns. Let's switch it over to that and then do something that iterates to generate them and marks the selected one selected, and we'll go from there. So see you in a couple minutes. Hi, welcome back. All right. So the thing we're going to do is let's drive pattern drop down from a list of patterns. So today, this list is hard-coded. And what I would like it to be is driven from a list of elements. And I have the list here, but well, that's a place. Really, I mean, there's kind of an intermediate thing. What I kind of want to do is I would like to say, give me a list of strings and a target or a selected item from the list of strings, and turn that list into this list, except one of them gets marked selected, the one that corresponds to the item mentioned. Now, that feels more like an HTML helper function, if I can think of it that way. I mean, I don't care what this stuff is inside, other than like it's a list of strings. Let's try and do that. So you give me a list of strings and a selected value, and I will generate the list of options. Okay, so this is like maybe it's 2 options, and it's going to produce a list. Okay, so let's start over here in main test. All right, let's see. So I don't know how these suites. All right, back to the browser. Elm test suite example. I don't know if I put these in a list. Helm test examples. Well, that's kind of promising too. Well, maybe I can just find that in here. Here's test. There's a tests folder. Describe something. Oh, comma test, comma describe. Okay, let's try it that way. No, it's not liking that. Let's go back and see that again. Describe contains an array. I don't know what this stuff is. Within there you can have a describe. Trying to pick something that sounds bigger. Describe. Oh, well, here's somebody querying some HTML. Okay. That's a little interesting. Query.fromHTML. Query.has. Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind further. Still not helping me with this describe thing. Okay. Example app tests. No. Well, describes in the test seems okay. Okay, this is probably what we kind of want to do. Let's see if that will work for us. Okay, so this is main test, and this is well, I don't know, how does it know to run suites? Let's try another experiment. Let's make another suite. No, it's got to be looking for the word suite, I guess. All right, let me just try and put it in down here. Try is right. Okay, so this is generate options list. Describe takes an array of tests. Okay, this can definitely be better, but let's get something together first. Okay, so Can convert. How about just converts of strings to array of options. And if we do 2 options of A, B, C, then we expect that to equal. Clearly, I want a smaller list. Okay. I want it to equal the list of options. You know, I kind of want something like this. Option value is A. Text is A. No tabs, don't do it. Value B, text is B. Okay. Imports are not there yet, but if you call 2 options of a list of strings, you should get this list. And actually 2 options of a list of strings and a selected item. If it's not in there, let's say unknown. Converts array to a string of options. The order may make sense to do the test first. All right, 2 options doesn't exist. Options should be in HTML. Well, I guess. I mean, all we need is 2 options. Option. And, oops. HTML, we need option. This, we need text and value. Text is not an attribute, it's a HTML. Value is an attribute. Okay. Right, so we don't have a 2 options function yet. Let's take that. I'll put it down here as a view helper. 2 options. Is going to take a list of string, and it's going to take a string, and it's going to produce an, well, what do we call these? I think they're like nodes. I guess we're producing a list of nodes. It's attributes, HTML. Well, it's producing an HTML, I guess. HTML of message. Okay. Well, I think it's really a list of HTML message. List of HTML. Golly. What does option produce? Oh, it is HTMLs. Okay. Div takes a list of attribute message, a list of HTML message. Okay. We don't care what the message is in this case. Okay. Two options of strings selected equals let's return an empty list for starters. See if we can make that fail the way we like. Test run failed. We expected stuff and there's no stuff. Okay. This should probably come down here. All right. And then the thing we're going to do is we're going to take the list of strings. Well, we're going to do a map, right? Because we're converting an array to, or a list to a list. All right, so we're going to take a map of strings and yes, I have to look it up. Core. Okay, apply a function to every element. All right, so we need a function that we're applying. All right, well, the function is, it's going to take a string, so it's lambda string goes to, let's just say string for now. Is that going to work? Apparently not. Well, the type is not right. Let's just return option. Let's do that. Is that going to work? All right, when I don't know, it's easier to let this thing tell me what the syntax error is. Oh, map is ambiguous. HTML map or HTML attributes map. Well, I don't think it's either one. I think it's list map. And I don't know if I haven't imported list. I don't know why I would think it was an HTML. I guess it's just digging up the maps it has. Okay. Yeah. It failed. Well, this is not super helpful. All right, but I'm going to move forward. Value A. Test run passed. That wasn't as helpful as I hoped. Okay. So you saw me complain or heard me complain about the order being often wrong. And I think the reason is, like, instead of having to do all this stuff and then pipe to pass in the strings, I think I could do this. Strings, pipe to that. So because I've created a list.map with one argument, I'm now passing this as the second argument. I believe that's the same result. Yeah. Now, whether it's better or not, I don't know. But let's keep that for a moment and define our next test. I'm going to replicate this. All right. I'm going to say the options case, the new case. This one we just did, ignoring selection if not in list. This one is marking selection if in list. Okay, so what I'm expecting here is if I did B, value B, I think it should be selected. I think selected was an attribute. Is it this one? Is body. I don't know. Boolean. Takes a Boolean. Well, the easy way let me do a little experiment here. Let me say selected true. True. Okay, so when I run this, I expect the iterator to be selected in my drop down. And we've got it running here. Okay, so iterator. Yeah. Go to this one. Iterator. Let's go back. Oops, main. Let's select prototype. You guessed prototype. Go here, it should be iterator. It's prototype. I don't know. Why is it prototype? if I leave this off? No, it doesn't like that. It's got to take a value. Let me do that again. I don't know why I'm resisting finding out, but resisting what I'm seeing. Okay. I think it picked iterator. Before it picked I don't know because it was first. It picked iterator because I told it to default to iterator, I think. Now when I come here, it should still be iterator because we haven't done anything. But if let's change this, reload. If I select something, I want this to update correctly. And then if I go to a different room, I want it to go back to iterator. And really, even that is not correct. What I really want is I want it to go to what it's set to. And looking at the HTML does no good because it's all just Elm code. What is going on? Let's see if select says anything more. Maybe I'm shortchanging. Define which option will be selected on page load. Well, is it that I'm not doing a page load when I switch? I don't know. I mean, maybe go to should be selecting something. Okay, well, let's take that as our working theory. So my theory is when you say selected true, you're saying the first run should select this item. Okay, and I'm hoping that these have no effect. Okay, so let's try. We'll reload iterator. That's the only selected true. But you can see I can make those show up in all of them. Okay. Now if I select a value, prototype, I go here. I think it maybe is not doing a page load. So I want go to also maybe I need a current selection? But I've got one, don't I? Not really. I want to programmatically force the selection. I don't know. Okay, I don't know if this is an HTML question. Force. Change option, select drop down. element changed. Element by target. Selected true. I don't know. That's kind of what we want. But selected. Make a selected element with an option. Okay, create a button that displays the value of the option. That's a little different problem. That doesn't sound quite the same. Well, changing the selected option appears to be what they're doing here. This is more like it. No, that's a little different. All right, I don't think any of these are quite what we want. Well, I see we're at break time again. Let's take a break, couple-minute break, and then come back and see if we can figure out what's going on here, how to trigger that. It's an interesting puzzle. All right, see you in 2 or 3 minutes. All right, well, the break didn't give me any deep insights. I guess one possibility is if we knew the current selection, which we do, could we force it in somehow? And I don't know, I'm thinking it doesn't happen because I think the selected is only assessed when the page first loads, and I've got a feeling like it's not loading pages when it switches around. It's just kind of substituting elements, and I don't know, but there's got to be a way to force that to happen. I mean, it can happen because you click on it, right? So you should be able to force a drop down. Let's try programmatically change a drop down's value. I mean, the ones we saw, they just set selected and everything worked. And that's not working for us. I don't know why. Display as if that variable is empty or not. Select ID change equals ng model. The form option ng value equals period ng4. Display and select period dot period name. Button click would call the function button clicked. This won't change the option, only the displayed value in the select. That's okay. This dot display and select. Well, I don't know what this is. Button clicked. Where is it here? Oh, option can display something? Let's try that. I don't know. I guess I'm still experimenting here. Well, that's a tag, but his body is this? Okay, so... Well... I don't think so. So what I think they're doing is they're basically changing this text to the value of the current selection. Okay, so I guess my next idea is I don't think that's going to work right, because if I want to change it and it says iterator, like this way, value would be I don't know, text iterator, value prototype, text iterator, value iterator, text iterator. They all say iterator. And if you open it up as a drop down, it would say like iterator, iterator, iterator. You could select the right one, but it wouldn't show the right one. That's not acceptable. Okay, so is there something that GoTo can do when it changes what room you're in? Actually, my real question is, can we force a reload? I kind of hate doing that. I mean, that's kind of, there's this notion of single page apps, and I think Elm is basically running like that. You know, it's not, it's never reloading the full thing. But I would like to. How about Elm force page reload? Let's see if there is a way. Okay, that's JavaScript. I don't know why. Ready, load, reload. Hmm. Um. Well, that's not quite. All right, let me do plus Elm. None of these are coming up with Elm stuff. Okay, well, let's try this. How do we refresh drop down? Maybe select when options change. Option value, there's no selection. Refresh option input. No. That's what I want. Refresh a select box without refreshing page. And how do you reset the selected index? Okay, I don't know if there'll be refresh method not working. That sounds kind of promising. Change selection. All right, well, let's see if any of these help. Yeah, I don't know if there's a good way to force a page reload on change. Okay, option value selected. Choose. Get element foo. Self.name equals this. Selected index. I don't know if I can set that. Okay, I didn't quite do it. Refresh without refreshing the page. Well, this index is kind of related. I don't know, ASP.NET may not be the right. They do more programmatically. Add or remove options from select. Keep going. Dropdown equals selected does not change. Value. See, I don't know where we can pin that text. I mean, it seems helpful enough. Option value 3 selected equals selected. That's what I'm normally used to seeing, is just selected by itself. That doesn't tell us anything. Empty browser cache sounds a little far off what we're talking about. Get element select. Select object property. So select has selected index. like these boil down to the same as the others. This one may be more promising. If I can set selected index programmatically, let's try it. Apparently there is no selected index. All right, let's see if there's documentation for that. HTML, are we going to attributes? Yes. Selected. Well, can I make my own? Back to these. I hate being stuck on this. And maybe it doesn't matter so much. It's annoying. All right, selected index seems to be a property of select. I don't know if I can only use it programmatically, which means I don't know how to do it. Okay, this is on select though. HTML DOM select. Maybe that's okay. This one I don't think helped anything. Get option. I was also using selected index. Okay, my search. Can't quite tell where this is. Yeah, select object. This looks like a rip of the other. All right, back to HTML option. Sorry. I guess in attributes, I want to see if I can make a custom attribute. A string goes to an attribute. A property versus an attribute. I really don't understand the difference. Okay. So what does this say? I can create an attribute string. So this is name, class, and value. But okay, yeah, let's smack it in there and see what happens. So this, what if we say attribute is selected index and the value is 2. And we don't have any selection on this, so that would force, well, let's make it 1 just to be different. Prototype 0, 1, 2. Prototype is 1. Reload. Okay, it's certainly not coming out 1. All right, I feel frustrated. Drive the pattern drop down from a list of patterns. Well, I can do that if I don't worry about selection. So let's finish that. Actually, we kind of have, right? So we got main test. Main test. Well, I can still get the. My expectation is this is selected true. But let's defer this for a bit. I think we can use 2 options in our code, right? Instead of generating this, I think we should just call 2 options of the patterns. And selection TBD. Let's not worry about that just yet. And we'll take these out. All right. And patterns is up here. Observer prototype and that. And let's add in I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Observer prototype and proxy. I'll select proxy, which is wrong, but it got my guess. Let me select observer here. Go back, it should still be proxy. So it's only the drop down that's messed up. Okay. I'm going to say that's a victory. We selected the drop down. Now pattern drop down starts with the current room's guess. We haven't done that. Show the current guess if it exists. We have done that. Okay. Now, if it show the current guess only if it exists, we're not doing that yet. Use the list of patterns to display possible guesses. Okay, we just did that. Well, that's kind of the same. Okay. Pattern dropdown starts with this. What's the pattern? Okay. What I think the answer is, and I don't know how far we'll get in 5 minutes, but the question is, does the guess match the actual pattern for the room? All right, and I think this is going to show our dungeon is not sufficient to answer that question. All right, because the dungeon has the image, the description, and the list of exits. It doesn't know. It doesn't know what the pattern should be. Okay. So I think there's missing information, and I don't know. It's going to get worse. Like, okay, the real goal for this is, I would like to have some actions, and an action might be pick up the box, and the response should be the box won't move, and the action could be say my name, and the response is nice try, but I need the name of the pattern. And then finally they hit the button, and the button should produce another copy, basically create a clone of this. And if you press another red button, you get another clone. Okay. And eventually, hopefully you realize, like, oh, this is just like the prototype pattern. You take an existing thing and you make a copy, and that's the new thing. So there's 3 or 4 sort of dialogue actions and responses. And then if they guess proxy, we want to say, you're right, it's a proxy. And if they don't guess it, if they guess wrong, we want to say, oh, that's not correct. Maybe think about what happens if you press the button or something, something to kind of guide them a little bit, maybe. All right. So I think what the pattern for a room, some of them may not have anything, and that's okay. But I think the pattern, this notion of the puzzle, I think, well, version 1 can just be dialogue stuff, like I just described. And version 2, there are some things, there are some examples where we'd like you to be able to actually move something in the environment. And I don't know, that's more complicated, but I think what we can say is each room at least may have a pattern or a puzzle. Maybe it's a puzzle. And the puzzle is a solution and some dialogue, action response kind of stuff. And that might be enough to be there. And then I guess I'm going to attach that to a room. Yeah, I think each room may or may not have a pattern, but if it does, you definitely want to go through that. Boy. All right. So we need another concept here. And I guess I'm going to call it a puzzle. Okay, so let's add puzzle as a class. New Elm module puzzle. Well, that's not where I want it to go, but we'll add it. Is this... Let me try a different approach. Source, new. I thought it would just give me a file. I don't want images.puzzle. Okay, I'm just going to move this. to source. DNP source, yes. And I was really kind of hoping it would change the module, but that's okay. Okay, and so we need to know I guess we need to pairs. The puzzle equals an answer plus an array of like remark response or something. There's probably a better trigger. Trigger response. Okay, so how we say that is, well, let's compare here. Dungeon. Okay. I'm just going to do this kind of thing. And let's see how it goes. I'll just borrow that. All right, so type alias puzzle equals an answer, and then dialog is a list of string. Okay. I think we'll pick up there. Let me make that the next thing we do. Room may have puzzles. Well, I mean, a puzzle displays dialogue. Trigger and response. Puzzle has answer. Room has optional. Puzzle. Okay, answer what's the pattern? That's pretty much. Okay. I think that'll get us to the next round. And I think next time I also want to do some style sheet work. This is still, I don't care for this font. I'd like to make the images more similar sized or appropriate sized. And this looks like it should be maybe half the size of this, but it's twice the size, that seems. And maybe some general formatting and cleanup, see what we can do. But the big thing is getting this puzzle stuff in place so that there's something to work with. All right. Thanks for joining me today. And next time is this coming Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. And I hope I can see you then or some other time in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.